What if all the world's volcanoes erupted at once? Okay, stop what you are doing, because I need you to actually think about this one. Every single volcano on Earth, all of them, erupting at the same time. Not one, not 10, not even 100. We are talking about 1,500 active volcanoes, plus thousands of dormant ones, all going off simultaneously, in one moment, on the same day. The scale of this is almost impossible to wrap your head around, but we are going to try. And honestly, the further we get into this, the worse it gets. So buckle up. The first thing that happens is the ground starts shaking everywhere. Not in one place. Everywhere. Every continent. Every ocean floor. The entire planet is basically having a seizure all at once. Within minutes, lava is pouring out of mountains across Iceland, Indonesia, Japan, Italy, the Pacific Ring of Fire, Central America, and East Africa. Places that have been quiet for centuries are suddenly alive and violent. And here is the thing most people do not realize. Most of the world's volcanoes are actually underwater. About 80% of all volcanic activity on Earth happens on the ocean floor. So when those go off all at once, the ocean itself starts boiling in certain areas. The seafloor is cracking open. Massive plumes of superheated water and gas are shooting upward through thousands of feet of ocean. The sea is literally cooking from below. Within hours, the ash clouds begin merging. Every major eruption sends a column of ash and gas miles into the atmosphere. Now imagine 1,500 of those columns all rising at the same time, spreading outward and connecting with each other like some kind of apocalyptic ceiling forming above the entire planet. Scientists estimate that a single supervolcano eruption, like Yellowstone, could block out enough sunlight to drop global temperatures by 10 degrees. We are not talking about one supervolcano. We are talking about all of them. Every single one going at full blast. The sky does not just turn gray, it turns black. In the middle of the day, it looks like midnight. Cities that are nowhere near a volcano are suddenly in total darkness. And it is not just ash. These eruptions are pumping out sulfur dioxide by the trillions of tons. When sulfur dioxide hits the stratosphere, it converts into sulfuric acid droplets. Those droplets reflect sunlight back into space. The more of them there are, the colder and darker the planet gets. We are talking about a volcanic winter that would make any ice age look mild. Now let us talk about what is happening on the ground while all of this is unfolding. Pyroclastic flows, which are superheated clouds of gas and rock moving at 450 miles per hour, are obliterating everything within range of erupting volcanoes. Nothing survives a pyroclastic flow. Not buildings, not vehicles, nothing. Cities near active volcanoes are gone almost immediately. Naples, Italy is one of the most densely populated volcanic zones on Earth, sitting right next to Mount Vesuvius. 3 million people live in that area. They would have almost no time. Same story in Indonesia, which has more active volcanoes than any other country on the planet. The Philippines, Ecuador, Guatemala. These places are dealing with catastrophic destruction within the first hour. Meanwhile, the ashfall is spreading far beyond the immediate blast zones. Thick volcanic ash is not like regular dust. It is heavy. It is abrasive. It clogs engines, collapses roofs, contaminates water supplies, and makes breathing without protection nearly impossible. Entire regions that never had a volcano nearby are now buried under several feet of ash. Here is where it gets even more terrifying. All those underwater volcanoes erupting at once are displacing massive amounts of water. The seafloor is shifting, cracking, and in some places collapsing entirely. That kind of displacement does not just stay underwater. It creates tsunamis, massive ones, coming from multiple directions at once. Coastal cities that survive the ashfall are now looking at walls of water coming toward them with almost no warning. The Pacific coast, the Atlantic coast, the Indian Ocean coastlines, all of them are getting hit at roughly the same time. There is nowhere to run that is both high enough and far enough inland. Now here is what actually finishes humanity off if the initial destruction does not. The volcanic winter sets in within weeks. Sunlight is being blocked by a global layer of ash and sulfuric acid in the upper atmosphere. Temperatures around the world drop sharply and fast. Not just a little cold. We are talking drops of 20, 30, maybe 40 degrees Fahrenheit in some regions. Crops fail. Immediately and completely, there is not enough sunlight for photosynthesis. Farms go dark. Fields that were days away from harvest are buried under ash or frozen solid. The global food supply, which already operates on razor-thin margins, collapses within months. Grocery store shelves empty out fast. Supply chains that depend on functioning infrastructure, which no longer exists in large parts of the world, break down entirely. Famine becomes the defining crisis of the post-eruption world. Not the lava, not even the tsunamis. Starvation. It gets stranger. All that volcanic gas being pumped into the atmosphere does not just cause cooling. It triggers chemical reactions that begin destroying the ozone layer. The ozone layer is what protects every living thing on Earth from ultraviolet radiation coming from the sun. With the ozone layer weakened or gone in certain areas, ultraviolet radiation starts hitting the surface at levels that are lethal to many forms of life. Plants that survive the cold and the darkness now have to survive radiation damage on top of it. The oceans absorb massive amounts of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide from the eruptions, causing rapid acidification. Marine ecosystems, which feed a significant portion of humanity even in good times, begin collapsing. Fish populations crash. Coral reefs dissolve. The ocean food chain starts unraveling from the bottom up. So let us take stock of where we are just a few months in. The skies are black. Temperatures have plummeted. Crops are gone. Coastal cities are flooded. Inland cities are buried in ash. The ozone layer is damaged. The oceans are acidifying. And famine is spreading across every continent on Earth. Is there anything that survives? Yes, actually. And this part is kind of remarkable. Life on Earth has been through mass extinction events before. The Toba supervolcano eruption roughly 74,000 years ago was so catastrophic that some scientists believe it reduced the entire human population to just a few thousand individuals. We nearly went extinct, and we survived. Certain ecosystems, deep cave environments, geothermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, highly insulated underground habitats would remain relatively stable. Some microbial life would actually thrive in the new environment. Life is almost impossibly stubborn, and humans, even in the most desperate conditions imaginable, are remarkably good at adapting. Survivors in non-volcanic zones with access to underground shelter, stored food, clean water, and seed banks would have a fighting chance. Governments and militaries with hardened underground facilities would still be operating. Bunkers, silos, submarine crews sealed off from the surface entirely. The world that comes after would be unrecognizable, but it would still have people in it. Recovery, if it happened, would take generations. Volcanic winters in the historical record have lasted anywhere from a few years to over a decade. Eventually, the ash settles. Eventually, the atmosphere stabilizes. Eventually, sunlight returns and the ground thaws and things start growing again. But the civilization we have built, the cities, the infrastructure, the global economy, almost all of it would be gone. Humanity would essentially be starting over. Not from zero, but close. Here is the most unsettling part of all of this. Something close to this scenario has actually happened before. Not all volcanoes at once, but a series of massive eruptions that overlapped and compounded each other. The year 1816 is known in history as the year without a summer. A single volcanic eruption, Mount Tambora in Indonesia, was so powerful that it disrupted global climate patterns for over a year. Crops failed across Europe and North America. Famine killed hundreds of thousands of people, and that was one volcano. Now multiply that by 1,500. The good news, if you can call it that, is that this scenario is essentially impossible under any natural circumstances. The geological forces required to trigger every volcano on Earth simultaneously do not exist. Volcanoes are independent systems driven by local pressure and tectonic activity. There is no known mechanism that could set them all off at once. But the fact that we can even model what would happen, the fact that we can look at the science and trace each step of the collapse, that is genuinely worth thinking about. Because it tells us just how fragile the systems that support human life actually are. One atmospheric layer, one food chain, one growing season. That is what stands between civilization and extinction. So the next time you see a news story about a single volcano erupting somewhere in the world and think nothing of it, remember this video. Because one is manageable, one we can handle. All of them at once? That is a different story entirely. If this one made your brain hurt in the best possible way, make sure you subscribe. because we do this every single week. And if you want to go deeper, check out the video on what would happen if Yellowstone erupted tomorrow. That one will keep you up at night too. If you made it this far in the video, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. See you guys in the next video.